All right, the next thing is the KDE update, and that's me. So hold on tight. We're going to go through a lot of a lot of different material here. This is typically items that are just reminder update items for the KDE update. We provide this information at the end to make sure that we do have that opportunity to give you some additional information. If you have questions, I've got a team of folks out there smarter than me that are going to probably help answer questions, but we will cover as many questions as we can at the end of the session. So these are our update topics today. I'm not going to read them to you because we are going to kind of go through them fairly quickly, but this is on the presentation that you received, so you'll have the material available to you also. So one of the newest things that we're really helping promote, and you probably wonder why we're doing it, but I think we can help with spreading the word because we have a great student information system across the state that does have a lot of notification processes in it. If you are not familiar with the Affordable Connectivity Program, it is a program that allows families to get discounted internet connectivity. They can save $30 a month. We're kind of trying to push this at the end of the year. We always hear about learning loss over the summer, and maybe having an internet connection or a device could make a difference. So there are ways to qualify, and schools can really help out with this because they can confirm the qualifications of a student for like the community eligibility program. If all your students eat free in your school, then you're eligible for this program regardless if you're income eligible or not. If you're not a CEP or a community eligibility program school, and you have a student that is free or reduced, they're going to be qualified for this program. There's other qualifying things, but those are the ones most relevant to us that we would have the capability of actually providing an eligibility letter or something to that effect for the students to help the families qualify for this. So it is something that we're going to be asking schools to help promote, similar to the way we did last year with the College Going initiative. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more participation this year on this one. But this is just, you can send out messages with your online registration about this information. You can send out a separate notification that goes out into Campus Portal in your regular notifications process or emails, or if you've paid for the premium services, it can even go out by text. So we will hope you will help promote this program because it really can make a difference for families. And it has been authorized, so it's got funding to continue to go forward. So right now, Kentucky is one of the states that are leading usage of this, but we're still under 40% of eligible households. We feel like from our numbers that from Kentucky families that have students in public school, over 80% of the families are eligible. So we really like to see those numbers go up. Reminder on calendars, we did this one at user groups also, but you've got some, and I think we heard this earlier from Laura, just a reminder, the calendars must be submitted to KDE prior to June 30th. Please make sure that's done. If you need help with accessing the calendar site, that is something that is done by your WAPOC or your web application administrator. If you do not have access to that, that's the person that can set you up locally with that access, or if you're having a problem with it. Or if you don't know who does this, your WAPOC could tell you who has access to this, the calendar site. So the 2023-24, the original calendar could be submitted anytime because it's after April 15th. The amended calendars can be submitted to KDE after May 15th. So you got a little bit of time before you submit those. But it should be after the last day of the school term. So there is more information available on the KDE school calendar page. So that information may be of additional assistance to you. There is the variable instructional calendar. If you are using that, keep in mind when you look at your calendar for 23-24 school year, your first day of school has to be on or after August 28th. The calendar has to have a minimum of 1,062 hours. But there's no minimum day requirement. Teacher contract days are still got to be equivalent to 170 days, and the classified contract days hours must still be met. But this does not apply to every district. But if it does apply to you, keep these conditions in mind as you set your calendars up. The summer school calendar, if you're going to have a summer schools calendar, we've been asking you this for the last 2 years. It's the best practice to set up a separate calendar for that. Have the calendar name start with SUM. That really helps when we've got to do like reporting to the state legislator and stuff like that, that we get the information correct. But the school summer calendars do not require a schedule set up. So that does not have to be done. It can be if you want, but it does not have to be done. So we talked about this earlier today, the DASAR system, that's for district and school change repository. That system allows schools to make changes, or districts even, to make changes to their school's address, their grade levels. We ask that everybody go out, somebody in every district go out and verify all the schools are correct once a year, and that is done in August. But at any time during the year, we ask that you go ahead and get that done. It does have some date factors in here. So we need school closures with the close date for this current year. The close date would always be June 30th, and this is for federal reporting purposes. Any new schools, we need to have open dates of July 1, 2023. So even if you started doing some work at the new school, the effective date of the new school wouldn't be until July 1st. That verification I mentioned earlier, we can do some cleanup on that, but really pay attention to this. If you don't know if your information is correct or even what it says out there, if you go to our open house site, if you go to openhouse.education.ky.gov, you'll see when you go to school and district directory, you can click on the letter that your district starts with, and you can open the information, see the information about your schools and your districts. That provides some very basic information. It also provides the contact information. So if you see something's wrong, please point it out to the appropriate people locally to try to get that fixed, and also the updated contact so that they'll get the information they need. We have the ESS intervention data. Please make sure that your students' ESS intervention data is entered on their ESS tab on the student's record in Infinite Campus. We want to make sure that all highlighted fields are not missing. They are required to be entered. All other fields are optional. This became a lot less overwhelming as we've lessened the number of fields that are required, but these fields are really required, and we use this for reporting and need this information. Thank you. The intervention data report, if you want to check your records, or if you want to make sure the appropriate person in your school or district has access, make sure they have access to the ESS intervention data report. We really recommend that you run this report, and it's a PLP intervention data report to check the records, and each record can be double checked prior to the KDE data pool, and it will save a whole lot of cleanup after the fact. Our pool this year will be just after June 30th, so that gives you a little bit of time to verify this data. Health data checklist for districts and schools. All student health data should be entered before the last day of school. This includes student health conditions, screenings, exams, referrals for vision, hearing, and dental, immunization certificates, and recommended data entry of students. The BMI should be entered prior to the last day as well. So health office visits should be entered, and with all discharge dates. To find missing discharge dates, please use the state published ad hoc filter. It's HOV, missing discharges. The pathway to find that is ad hoc reporting, data export, student health, HOV, missing discharges. For any if you need additional information on the health data or the checklist, reach out to Tanya Hickman. She'll be glad to help. We have the Infinite Campus newsletter, and this is what Jen and I mentioned earlier. We've talked about how can we better inform you. We do keep our website updated with the last update date when we make changes, but if you have printed everything out, it's not something that you would necessarily see unless you just happen to go check. So we're adding this information at the bottom of the Infinite Campus newsletter to kind of let you know what data standards have been updated and the update date and kind of why they were updated, to give you kind of a heads up that if you do want to print, or if you want to see what the latest changes are, you can do that timely. House Bill 563 was passed in 2021, eliminating the need for non-resident contracts between districts. But remember, non-resident students must be tracked in Infinite Campus. So to enter a student resident district, search for the student on the enrollment tab, select the current enrollment. Under state reporting fields, find resident district, and click on the drop-down list and select the district in which the student resides. It's important to remember that this data does come through the records transfer, through student records transfer, and rolls forward from year to year. So help to ensure the accurate data is reported by reviewing this information to determine if it needs to be updated as the new year starts. You can contact Rhonda Devine if you have any questions regarding this. So the school nurse counts need to be entered prior to June 30th also. So district hired nurses are tracked on the district assignment tab. Please ensure all district hired nurses have the 07 other as the type and the alternative type of LPN or RN, APRN in the other area. Contract hired nurses are tracked on the district service providers tab. This is located in system administration resources, district information, system administration resources, district information, and district health check service providers. Contract hired nurses must be updated each year. It's not something you can do once and not update it again. It is something that we look at to see what the changes are year to year. So for data verification, it should be done using the nurse count found under the Kentucky State Reporting, KDE reports, nurse counts. This count is reported in open house, so it is available for those. And again, Tanya Hickman can help if you have any questions on that one. Seek at-risk data. Each district will receive an email in May containing a link to the Support Education Excellence in Kentucky, SEEK, at-risk average daily membership report, and a request to review their data. Districts will receive a final email in June with the SEEK at-risk ADM numbers and instructions to verify the data. On June 30th, KDE will pull the verified data. So Samantha Ingstrom is available to help with this if you have questions or need further information. The SPED exit detail report. This is a new report for us. The purpose of this report is to produce student level detail of students ages 14 to 21 who may have exited from special education services for quality assurance review and verification of data for federal reporting. This report compares the special education exit data on the enrollment record to the KDE determined special education exit status and date. Keep in mind that the report is being pulled from a table that is refreshed weekly for the active year and has historical data for up to 2 prior years. So if you make a change to that, it's not going to update until the following week based on that. Student data review and roster. This is something your DACs, your district assessment coordinators are very familiar with. It will open on April 26th. And we say, well, why do you tell me about this? Well, it includes a lot of Infinite Campus data. So to help with data quality, clean up data that is used in SDRR for the student state enrollment verification report. We've got the QA reports that Jen mentioned earlier, and the data health check in Infinite Campus can help. We want to make sure that all the enrollments are at Infinite Campus. Those special education, English learners, free and reduced lunch data is all correct. It'll make your life a whole lot easier than as the DACs find these things, having to deal with these issues and questions coming up one by one. So run the state enrollment verification report and fix all student enrollment records missing at state edition. These students will be missing from SDR, and we don't want that to happen as we start going into the assessment period for those students. So that was a quick review of items that we had, just as updates for you. I'll check and see if there are any questions. One question we have here is, do you still have to wait to end date students with a CO1 status until after SAR has been submitted and approved? Somebody's going to have to help me on that one.
No, you can go on and end date your students with CO1 prior to submitting your SAR. It's looking at that whole school year.
Thank you. And then we had a question about, can summer calendar be created before the current calendar ends? And I think the answer to that was yes.
Yes.
Is there a recommendation for when the cleanup wizard should be used, and can it be run more than once? And I think what I remember hearing, and I've not looked at your answer, you probably answered, Jen, is that it you to run it multiple times.
Yes. You can run it multiple times and encourage to, and then just rule of thumb, before you do close out your students' enrollment for that current year, run it one more time.
Yes. And then there was a question about the extra year in primary report, and it isn't available in Infinite Campus now. So it can be run. The pathway for that is included in the Go Soapbox. Let's see. If I missed any that you had already answered.
We are double checking, but we're Crystal is certain that the students who are in primary, you do not mark them retain, you keep them in the same grade level. So, but we will clarify that with the program area and add that question. So you do not mark them retain, but you keep them as in the current grade level for the next year.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, so that is our questions. If you think of something, you can still add those questions. We'll keep this open for the rest of the day, and then we'll take it down and try to start working on our Q&A document that will be posted on the KSIS training webpage. Just as a reminder, if you want ELA credit for this, and you might not have heard me say this at the beginning of the training this morning, but you have to register. So if you haven't registered, you will need to go ahead and register. It's not too late. The registration is still open, but you'll need to do that first. What will happen next is you will get a survey request. A survey will go out. You'll need to complete the survey. And once the survey is completed, the ELA certificates usually go out within a couple weeks. So please watch for that survey. And sometimes it goes into junk mail or spam or something like that. Do take a look to see if you find it. If you do not find it in any of those places before middle of next week, reach out to us at the KDE data request at education.ky.gov mailbox, and we'll look into it for you. So I want to thank you for all the participation. I checked earlier, we'd had about 200 participating, and considering how busy everybody is this time of year, I think that's really good participation, and appreciate you making this important enough to take your time and participate in. So I wish everybody a very great weekend, and I hope you all have a great end of the school year.